They can control JayZ and Beyonce,
But not you, man.
but they can't control me. You
Not
see, it
you.
ain't no name I won't name.
Exactly.
It's up.
Ye has never been the type to whisper. He loves setting off bombs in the middle of industry talk. But this time, the blast wasn't just noise, it rattled the very bones of hip-hop history. In one of his wildest and most chilling claims yet, Ye straight up suggested that Diddy and JayZ had blood on their hands when it came to Tupac's tragic end. He didn't paint it as some random East Coast versus West Coast beef either. Oh no, he framed it like something way darker, almost ritual-like. As if Pac's loss was more than a feud, but a price, a sacrifice to pull JayZ deeper into Hollywood's hidden circle of power. The thought that one of the greatest rappers ever could have been taken out just so another could rise up, that's enough to stop you dead mid-scroll. So now the question burns. Is Ye really pulling back the curtain on a secret initiation? Or is this just another one of his infamous chaotic explosions? He's unpredictable. One moment he's ranting about corporations controlling artists. The next he's dropping heavy prophecies about shadow forces running the industry from behind closed doors. And Ye swears he's untouchable. In his own words, "I never ended nobody, so I can say whatever I want and not go to jail." That's the bizarre kind of credibility he rides on, positioning himself like both a prophet and an outcast. It leaves us torn. Is this the moment where the black sheep of hip-hop is actually daring to speak a truth everyone else is too scared to say out loud? Or is Ye once again spinning in his own storm, blending conspiracy with confession and daring the world to figure out which is which? The timing makes Ye's moves look even stranger.
If we get to the bottom of Tupac Sacr, when that is finally revealed, 15 other will be revealed with it. And you will find that they were all committed by the same two people, father and son.
After years of messy public fallouts with JayZ, suddenly Ye is back on his page, dropping likes and leaving comments. Almost playful, like all the bad blood never even existed. But let's not forget that history runs deep. The drama started when Jay and Beyonce skipped Ye's wedding to Kim Kardashian. Then got worse when Jay handpicked Kendrick Lamar over Ye for the Super Bowl halftime show. And who could forget Ye's unhinged rants, where he even dragged Jay and Beyonce's kids into his war of words? So why now? Why resurface in Jay's digital space after all that venom? Is Ye really trying to mend old wounds, or is this a trap dressed up as reconciliation? Could it be bait? A way to pull Jay closer before shoving him straight into the fire of those dark Tupac accusations? The way Ye plays, nothing is ever simple. This friendly interaction feels staged, almost like a chessboard being set up for the world to watch. Ye has always been obsessed with whispers of Hollywood rituals, swearing that behind the flashing lights and red carpets sits a system fueled by sacrifices and secret oaths. In his mind, JayZ and Diddy's climb wasn't just about hustle or music. It was about signing deals in the dark where lives became the currency. For most people, that sounds like some low-budget thriller script. But when Ye says it, layered on top of decades of suspicion, it feels hauntingly real. And here's the kicker. Whispers about Diddy's alleged bounty on Shakur have circled for years. Insiders like Dwayne Keith Davis claimed he orchestrated the Vegas hit. And even a retired detective bragged that he boxed Keith D into confessing the plot, pointing his finger straight at Diddy as the man who paid for it all.
It sort of seems like, they're trying to minimalize it to just gang shit.
And the chaos doesn't end there. In the last few years, federal agents have stormed Diddy's mansions, with lawsuits painting him as the music industry's own Epstein, a man allegedly shielded by staffers who helped run wild parties behind closed doors. Every new raid, every new headline drags his past back into the spotlight, and suddenly the old Tupac theories don't sound so buried anymore. If Diddy really had the reach to greenlight that kind of hit, then Ye's suggestion that JayZ not only knew but benefited from it takes on a whole new level of menace. Picture it. Two moguls climbing the ladder together, not just clinking glasses at billionaire brunches, but tied by something far darker, something whispered about in shadows instead of toasted in champagne. That's the imagery Ye forces into the conversation, and it's impossible to ignore. What makes Ye dangerous to the establishment is his mouth. He doesn't filter, he doesn't play safe. One moment he's screaming about celebs being puppets on corporate strings. The next he's claiming his own mother was taken as a sacrifice to keep him under control. Then without hesitation, he starts naming names. LeBron James, Beyonce, JayZ, insisting they too are trapped under invisible masters. Sure, it sounds unhinged, but the way Ye spits it, he says it like a man convinced he survived the very same machine. And when he drags Tupac's name into that mythology, framing him as the ultimate offering, it hits different. Suddenly, the industry can't just laugh it off. It feels like a wound they don't want reopened, and Ye is the one ripping the stitches out in public.
I felt like, they had a whole lot of potential. Jay was more quiet. But I mean, I learned that Jay was being quiet because he was taking notes. He was taking notes, observing everything, taking it all in. Because, sometimes you're around and you're watching to see things to do.
Tupac's end has always been tangled in a mess of theories, but this twist, that his death was the doorway to another man's coronation, raises the stakes higher than anyone ever dared to imagine. Suddenly, Pac's murder isn't just about rivalry. It's about power, legacy, and who was willing to step over blood to sit on the throne. The paradox of Ye's words is impossible to ignore. One moment he's posting apologies, saying he regrets dragging JayZ's family, even admitting he always wanted to feel accepted inside that elite circle. But then in the same breath, he paints JayZ as a man who allegedly climbed to the top by walking through Pac's grave. It's like Ye is torn between craving brotherhood with the same man he accuses of sealing sinister deals. That emotional whiplash is wild, and it makes every word feel like both confession and dagger. So what is this really? Is Ye reaching out for reconciliation, or is he staging the perfect setup for a darker bombshell still to come? With Ye, contradiction isn't a bug, it's the whole brand. He thrives in the chaos, making us question if he's breaking down or pulling back the curtain. And here's the haunting part. If even a fraction of Ye's claims hold weight, what does that mean for the very foundation of hip-hop? What does it mean for JayZ's legacy? The man celebrated as the blueprint, the empire builder, the one who outlasted generations? If Tupac's last night was really part of some initiation ritual, then how many other stars have walked through that same hidden door? And scarier still,
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
how many more secrets are still locked away, waiting for the right moment or the right person to expose them? Reckless or fearless, whichever way you see it, Ye is saying things most rappers wouldn't dare whisper. And now, with Ye dragging JayZ and Diddy into his storm, the whole saga feels less like music beef and more like a Greek tragedy rewritten for the hip-hop era. But the story took an even darker turn when federal agents raided Diddy's lavish mansions, kicking open the doors on scandals that had only been rumors until now. What started as shocking accusations of exploitation and manipulation exploded into full-blown investigations, and the whispers get crazier. Insiders claim agents stumbled onto a hidden vault deep inside one of the properties, a secret archive of tapes, documents, and receipts that could do more than just expose Diddy's current mess. Some say it could even drag him back to the bloody night in Las Vegas when Shakur's life was taken. One former investigator even hinted the raids weren't about recent lawsuits alone. They might have been digging for ghosts from the 90s. Could it be that somewhere behind those locked steel doors sits evidence tying today's chaos directly to rap's darkest mystery?
Boy, Puffy called me though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me, he was like, I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brother's,
The very image sends chills. A vault packed with tapes, payoffs, and orders. Maybe even conversations about that alleged $1 million bounty on Pac's head. For decades, Diddy has been portrayed as untouchable, the mogul who stayed clean while others around him took the hits. But if that vault is real, and if it ever sees the light of day, it wouldn't just end his career. It could rip apart the empire he built and shatter the mythology of hip-hop's so-called golden era, brick by brick. And standing right in the middle of this storm is Ye, pointing fingers, daring to say out loud what everybody else only whispers in private. The heat only rises when insiders start comparing Diddy's scandals to the darkest headlines of the past decade, throwing names like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell into the same breath. Former employees claim there were girls far too young at his so-called events, while others talk about forced indulgences, with lawsuits stacking up that describe his staff as full-on enablers. With that kind of backdrop, is it really shocking that JayZ rants about sacrifices and Hollywood rituals start resonating with people? In his mind, none of this is random chaos. It's a system, a ritual, where the powerful demand silence and the only way through the gate is loyalty signed in blood and tragedy.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their brand.
But here's where it twists. Ye's own unraveling becomes part of the story. We've seen him drag JayZ's family, then backtrack with apologies. We've watched him accuse his ex, Kim Kardashian, of weaponizing their kids, then swear he'd cut her off forever, only to post their private text days later. It's the cycle of a man who can't separate his private pain from his public warpath. Through it all, he doubles down. Celebrities are controlled, his own mother was sacrificed, and Hollywood is powered by trauma. And while some laugh it off as pure paranoia, others can't shake the thought. What if Ye's obsession is coming from truths too disturbing for the industry to ever admit? So when he spits out the claim that JayZ's career was baptized in Pac's blood, it doesn't just sound like madness. It lands like a curse nobody wants to acknowledge out loud. It sounds insane until the raids on Diddy's mansions actually happened, blurring that line between wild conspiracy and chilling possibility. And for Ye, that wasn't even the end of it. He's been haunted for years by a second, darker belief that Tupac wasn't the only sacrifice. In Ye's mind, there's an ongoing chain, a system that keeps chewing through lives just to keep power locked in the same hands. In interviews, he's rattled off names like a grim checklist. Michael Jordan's father, Dr., Dre's son, even Bill Cosby's son, hinting that Hollywood runs on a constant tally of loss.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about the kids at some point here, and not for the younger ones, it's at some point. For North, it's right now, right? That even if she doesn't see it, even if somehow Kim is able to keep that away from her, the kids that her friends at school, they're gonna know about it, they're gonna see it, and it's just, it puts the kids in a horrible situation.
Whether people believe him or not, one thing is clear. Ye is obsessed with the idea that he's trapped inside a machine built to silence rebels and reward the ones who play by the rules. And if he's right, then the music industry isn't just about beats and hits. It's about blood, control, and survival at the highest price. But if he's wrong, then we're witnessing one of the most public descents into obsession the world has ever seen. And Ye doesn't stop with Tupac. He points to another tragedy that shook R&B, the shocking plane crash that ended Aaliyah's life at just 22, right as she was soaring in both music and film. For conspiracy watchers, the timing was suspicious. Aaliyah had close ties to Rockefeller through her relationship with Damon Dash, JayZ's own business partner. Whispers spread that her sudden absence cleared the path for Beyoncé's meteoric rise, fueling theories that Aaliyah's death wasn't just an accident, but part of the same grim exchange of lives for power Ye insists is the industry's darkest secret. And Aaliyah's story only adds fuel to the fire. She had youth, promise, and was on the edge of reshaping both R&B and cinema. Then, out of nowhere, her journey ended in tragedy. The aircraft was overloaded, the pilot was unlicensed, and reports later claimed she never even wanted to board that plane. To Ye's followers, the details look like a script they've seen before. A rising star with too much potential, a last-minute choice that sealed her fate, and a gaping void of unanswered questions left behind. The deeper you look, the harder it is to separate Aaliyah's tragedy from this dark narrative of Hollywood sacrifices, an invisible currency traded in blood to clear paths for others.
There are people who did short sales on their stocks right after that, made a lot of money, including Sean Carter. Now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident?
Her loss begins to look less like random fate and more like another piece of a twisted exchange. Then comes Michael Jackson. Another giant Ye drags into the conversation whenever he talks about how the powerful deal with rebels who refuse to be controlled. Jackson spent decades rewriting music history, building fortune and influence, only to spend his final years locked in a war against the very industry he once dominated. He was drowning in lawsuits, battling contracts he claimed were traps, and fighting to keep hold of his priceless catalog. So when Michael Jackson's abrupt death in 2009 shook the globe, Ye saw it as more than just tragedy. To him, it was proof. Proof of a system designed to dispose of icons once they became too powerful or too outspoken. Jackson himself had warned about conspiracies, about forces trying to strip him of everything he built. And for Ye, it all connects. The same shadows that ended Shakur's journey, that cut short Aaliyah's rise, were the ones standing over the king of pop in his final days. And the chilling thread tying them all together? None of these legends got graceful retirements or quiet fade-outs. Instead, every ending was sudden, violent, and world-shaking. Tupac's body slumped in a bullet-riddled BMW on the Las Vegas Strip. Aaliyah's plane, broken and burning in the Bahamas.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
Michael Jackson, lifeless in Los Angeles, just hours after rehearsing for the comeback tour that was supposed to cement his legacy forever. Each story left the world stunned. Yet behind the headlines, the same whispers always rise. Negligence, cover-ups, and maybe something darker. To Ye's followers, these aren't coincidences at all. They're calling cards, proof of an underground order that balances its books with human lives. At the heart of it all is Ye's obsession with control, or rather, the lack of it. He's argued over and over that celebrities aren't really free agents at all, but pawns on a board where their wins are scripted, their failures engineered, and even their exits predetermined. In Ye's view, Tupac's defiance, Aaliyah's independence, and Michael Jackson's refusal to give up his catalog weren't just career moves. They were acts of rebellion. And each one of them, he insists, paid the ultimate price for daring to push back. Whether or not the evidence could ever hold in court, the parallels are eerie enough to keep the theories alive. The chilling part isn't just what this story says about the ones we lost, it's what it implies about the ones still standing. If Tupac's death cracked open doors for JayZ, if Aaliyah's absence cleared the runway for Beyonce, if Michael Jackson's catalog battle ended up strengthening the grip of industry titans, then suddenly success doesn't look so clean anymore. It suggests every chart-topping anthem, every sold-out tour might carry a hidden cost, one that somebody else had to pay.
And we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that JayZ is accused of raping a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit.
Blood. And that's why Ye calls himself the black sheep, the one cast aside because he refuses to play the game by their rules. To him, this isn't just speculation or paranoia. It's the blueprint, the reason he claims he'll never be fully embraced by the same circle he exposes. So the question refuses to die. Are these shocking tragedies nothing more than coincidences? Or are they pieces of a much bigger system of sacrifice, carefully hidden in plain sight? Or is Ye spinning grief, betrayal, and suspicion into a giant conspiracy only he can see? That's the twist that keeps his words so gripping, because every time another scandal explodes, every time another powerful name gets dragged into the fire, the coincidences feel harder to dismiss. Whether it's truth or torment, the idea that Hollywood's glittering empire might actually be built on shadows is enough to make anybody shiver. That's what makes this moment so dangerous. Ye is both the witness and the warning. He's got the access, the memories, and most importantly, nothing left to lose. His career already collapsed under the weight of canceled deals. His mouth already cost him millions. And yet, he won't stop talking. Is he laying the foundation for the biggest exposure Hollywood has ever seen? Or is his obsession dragging him toward total isolation, cut off from everyone he once called family?
Let's talk about it, man. So you feel like it was bigger than Orlando Shooter Pod. You feel like it's more to the story. You don't think it was that simple?
I feel like it's bigger.
The stakes right now couldn't be higher. For Ye, for JayZ, for Diddy, and for Tupac's legacy itself. Because if that rumored vault is real, if the accusations ever line up with court documents, leaked footage, or seized receipts, the ripple effect would shake the industry to its core. We wouldn't just be questioning how Shakur's life ended. We'd be forced to rethink how much of hip-hop history was written in secrets that were never supposed to see the light of day. For the fans who idolize these men, who grew up with their music as the soundtrack to their lives, it could feel like betrayal on a scale no platinum plaque could ever cover. And that leaves us with the burning question: is Ye ripping back the curtain on Hollywood's darkest reality? Or are we just watching the most spectacular meltdown in music history? Either way, when the truth finally comes, it could break everything we thought we knew about fame, power, and the price of staying on top. What do you think? Is Ye exposing the unthinkable? Or has he lost himself in obsession? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, smash that subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next chapter. Because this story, it's far from over. See you next time.